Are you really listening to this podcast all by yourself? Subscribe. Share.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Smack that button.
Smack the subscribe button, smack the like button. Let's get right into it. Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Climate Podcast. Today, we have our new esteemed guest on. Ish, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, woo!
Glad to be here.
Sir.
And Reem, tell us about our friend today.
So, Ish, man, I've been hooping with him, actually against him. We really are on the same team because I was trying to beat this guy, man. He's always killing us, honestly. We've been hooping for about 2-3 years, and I think if I remember correctly, the first time I met him was at a St. Xavier tournament. We played. It was me, you. I don't know if I think we were on the same team. It was me, you, like Azmi, Shaibi. But all I remember from that tournament is that you were like super, super athletic, and like I don't know how, man, but you were getting above the rim, just yamming on people, and like mashallah till this day, you're still doing that. So it's crazy.
Right.
But I wanted to, speaking of your athleticism, stuff like that. So I wanted to talk about first, let's talk into your craziest smack talk. What's the craziest smack talk story that you've heard given, or that just in general you've heard of?
Oh man, basketball is all smack talk, but the craziest one. You know what? I think when I was at UIC, when I was practicing with them, and you know, I came in there, they don't view me as anything. You know, I wasn't an extraordinary, so they look at me like, he ain't much. So one of the best players was just like talking smack, and he's cool people, you know, but it's just basketball talk, you know.
Yeah,
he's talking to smack, and then the coach is hollering at him like, hey, stop talking to him and things like that. And then we're just going back and forth, and I hit a shot, and he's like bet you won't make that again. I'm like, all right, bet. And then I hit it again, and I'm like, hey, you better guard me, man. And then the coach is like, both of you shut up, you know, he's just snapping at us. And I remember he was the best player, but you know, it's just fun when you smack talk. It makes the game more interesting. So that was probably one of them, and that's one I really know. And then, of course, tournaments and things like that. But that one in particular is probably the biggest one because that was like a Division I setting because of Division I practice. So you know, I had a lot on my shoulder.
So you talk about this guy being the best player on the team. Yeah. Is he the best competition or the greatest player you ever played against, or is there someone else?
You know what? He was probably one of the best players I played against, in practice. But it was really practice, not really like in a reffing and things like that situation. Yeah. But his name's Dikembe Dixon. I don't know if you guys know him. He's cool people, man. I still keep in touch with him.
Just so everyone knows, our boy Ish over here plays for UIC.
He used to.
At least used to. So he ain't no scrub by any means. So I wanted to ask you, because obviously you've played your fair share of basketball games, against Ahadab. So you know, when you play basketball against Ahadab, you get a lot of talking, a lot of smack talk. What is it, do you think, about Ahadab that make them talk so much when they play basketball? Like they're chirping after every call, they're arguing, and they always huddle up after every call that they don't like. They're all arguing.
Man, Ahadab are just, first of all, when Ahadab are in a group, khalas, that's it. It's something's about to go down.
Game over.
So when you're with a bunch of Ahadab, you know, they get real competitive. And the thing is, even if they've never played basketball in a day of their life, they will still talk crap like they're Michael Jordan or something. You know what I'm saying? So
Muhammad Jordan,
there you go. But you know, you gotta love it. I just enjoy it. I never take it to the heart or anything like that, because we all, at the end of the day, out of respect each other. It's just basketball. It's competitive, and but of course, you get your fair share of laughing, and it's at the same time you get it could get heated too. So
That's a fact.
but
Oh my God.
so yeah.
So go ahead,
Go
Jermaine.
ahead. Okay.
No, go ahead.
All right, fine. I'll go. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. So I wanted to ask you, where did your love of the game come from? Right? Because it's really hard to get to any division of basketball. You made it to D3 basket. I believe UIC D3, right?
UIC's D1.
Okay.
So
I mean,
UIC, yeah, D1.
it's really hard to get to that level. So,
Yeah.
where did your love of the game come from?
Well, growing up, I remember just growing up seeing my big brother, my oldest brother playing basketball, my cousins just playing ball. And I was that little kid just like, hey, I want to play. But I was just too small. And, I was the young buck. So I just would see them play and I'm like, hey, this is fun. And then my oldest brother, he was an 8th grade stud. He used to play 8th grade. He used to tell me stories and things. And I'm like, oh, I want to play basketball. I can't wait till I'm in 8th grade and things like that. So that's where it started. And of course, being from Chicago, the Bulls and Michael Jordan played a huge role, even though I was kind of born in 95. So I didn't really watch it live, but just seeing it on YouTube and hearing stories. And like my older cousins will tell me during the 90s how crazy they would go because the Bulls, and he would literally say everybody would be at somebody's house watching MJ, and Scotty and the Bulls. And I'm like, man, dude. And I just would watch it and I just love it. And I'd watch YouTube videos and I'd run to the park and try to imitate Jordan, and then, and when D Rose came, I'm like, okay, this is like, he just took it to another level. Like
Something special.
He brought the Bulls back and I'm like, man, this is, this game is amazing. And I stuck with it since. Yeah.
When did you realize when you were growing up, like everyone else around you was a scrub? Like there had to be a point where you're just so much better than almost everyone you play that you're just like, okay, I should start taking this seriously. I need to start taking this to the next level.
Yeah. I would say about, when I was in high school, my sophomore year, I was never like a cocky guy. I was always just like, I stay quiet and humble, but then I'd get compliments and be like, man, this guy can play or this guy can jump. So I kind of felt more confident, and then I realized, okay, this dude can hoop. Oh, this guy can't hoop. And then as junior year came, starting to hoop like at export. That's where I was like, okay, all right, these guys are college. All right, this guy can play, or this guy, and then you just kind of start getting a feel for it. Like, okay, this guy's a scrub, or this guy can hoop. But hooping is hooping, no matter who you're playing with. It's just hooping is hooping.
Yeah. So, so you went to Revis High School. Did you play all 4 years of ball?
Yeah.
Okay, so you played as a freshman through senior. So my next question would be, at what point were you able to dunk the ball, right? Because you could throw it down still.
Yeah.
Bunnies.
What year was it? Sophomore year, I started messing around with the tennis ball, and I started dunking the tennis ball. I'm like, okay, I'm getting up there. And then I remember a freshman year going to sophomore year that summer, I tried dunking, and I never thought I could dunk. And I went up and I missed it, but I'm like, okay, I can do this. And then middle of my sophomore year, I was actually at the youth center.
Oh,
at the
dang.
youth center. Yeah, I was actually at the youth center. I went up and I dunked it, and I'm like, I'm shocked. I'm like, did I just? And everybody's looking at me. I'm like, did I just dunk? Like, I just dunked it. And I'm like, okay, I'm feeling it. Like, and then that year, and then I just started. I kept training, and then by junior year, I was very confident. Like, people throw me lobs and dunk it, and then senior year, I got my first in-game dunk. I didn't get my first in-game until senior year. So, because junior year actually broke my wrist.
Oh, wow.
Junior year of high school, yeah.
How much did you miss?
Yeah. I missed a great chunk of the season, like probably the whole season. I got to play the last month of the season.
Oh wow.
I
I was
was
gonna talk about this earlier, but that's crazy because you broke your wrist. You said your junior year, right?
yeah.
And not too was it a year ago, 2 years ago? You broke your leg, was it?
I fractured my right foot. Yeah.
So you went through a lot of like different
Yeah.
you went through a
Yeah.
lot of hardship, man, and you still kind of stuck with it and you're back and
Yeah.
you're safe to say
It,
you're back in it, if not stronger and better. That's
I'm
insane that you alhamdulillah, yeah, alhamdulillah. That's
How,
insane, man.
how did your injury affect your recruiting? Because
oh
usually people like to recruit maybe starting junior year. That's when they can kind of tell, right? How did that affect your recruiting?
man, junior year, I missed pretty much the whole chunk of the season. I really wasn't getting recruited like that. I probably had like one or two schools come by and visit, and they said, okay, this guy can play, but it was kind of far, and it was, I think one was like in Iowa, I forgot. And
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, we're not trying to move out. We're still, they don't want us to leave the house or leave the area. So
Yeah.
I wasn't really getting recruited like that until my coach from Moraine Valley came to one of my games in high school. So I started JUCO, and he saw me play. He's like, hey, you can hoop, bro. Like, come with us. And then he invited me to one of the practices, and I went to the All-Star games. Like, yeah, we want you. Like, come play for us. And I'm like, all right.
You played at Marine too.
Yeah. So I started
Okay.
at Moraine, and that's where I really played. Like, but I actually got another wrist injury my sophomore year, which I was supposed to start that year at Moraine.
Wow.
Like I was ready to go, locked and loaded. Because freshman year was kind of like a learning year. I was still
Yeah.
working my butt off, and I'm dealing with grown men. Like we had older guys on the team. I was coming in 18, some were 23, 24, and I'm like, yeah, I learned a lot going from high school to college, man. Like, you're dealing with grown men. Like I realized that going to college, and
Well,
yeah,
besides physicality, what is the biggest difference between them? Is it the mentals? What is it?
from high school to college,
Yeah.
man, everything. Because like in high school, you kind of feel like babied a little bit. Because high school, it was one of the greatest times, of course, but you're still kind of shackled up. You got a coach who's still babying you. And if you look at boys, it's called boys basketball. So you're still kind of like a boy. And then when you go to college, it's men's basketball. So it's just the mentality, now college, you have your own time. I remember high school getting kicked out of the gym because I wanted to stay late and work out. And I remember Janitor's like, hey, it's time to go. Get out of here. And I'm like, I want to get my work. I'm trying to get to college. He's like, nah, some janitors were cool, some, but I remember that. And then in college, you just have full access to a gym. Like Moraine's facility, amazing, full access. I can go in the morning before class, no problem. Go after practice, no problem. And then you're kind of like on your own now. Like, it's like, do you really want this? College is like, you have to want this.
Hmm. That's one of the things that Zach talked about too. I don't know if you know who Zach is.
Oh yeah, Zach.
The
I
little the
watched it.
little
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. We had him on.
He
I
was
think
speaking facts. He was speaking facts.
yeah, he was saying the same thing. He was like, "Yo, a lot of these guys don't use these facilities to their advantage because you can go in
Oh
at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. whenever you want. So like, you got no excuse not to get better, at the college
man,
level. So
man,
you're completely right. It's crazy how
bringing that up
difference.
because going to UIC, I remember they gave us swipe access, so you can go in the gym. And I remember
Mhm.
going there like till midnight sometimes, like staying till 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, and no questions asked. Nobody's in the building because like they know you're here to put in work. You're not messing around. So you got full access. You can go do your thing, put your work in, put 1,000 shots up. That's the great thing about college, going from high school to college. Like you got a full access gym. They pay millions for that stuff. So
So
That's
when
crazy.
you're in high school, you obviously mentioned you have limited access to the gym, and then when you're in college, you have pretty much an unlimited access. It almost begs the question of what was your headspace on the future like? And what I mean by that is when you were playing in high school, were you practicing in that gym like I'm trying to make it to the NBA? And then once you were at JUCO, were you still like I'm trying to make it to the NBA? And then when you got to UIC playing D1, what was your headspace on the future like, especially being that underdog? You were the walk-on. You know, what was your headspace like through those 3 stages in life?
Man, it's crazy because reality kept going as the levels got up. So high school, you know, going from junior high, right? Junior high, you're like, oh, I want to go to NBA. I want to be like Mike, this, and that. And then high school comes like, oh my gosh, like you get like a little like reality check, but then you build your confidence up, and then you put in the work and the hours, and then like you tell yourself, hey, you know what, I can do this. Like I'm gonna keep going. And then I taught, high school. I remember my high school coach told me I was like on the verge my senior year. I'm like, am I good enough? Like, could I even play in the next level? And my coach grabbed me, my sophomore coach grabbed me to the side. He's like, hey, Ish, you can, you got potential, keep going. And he's like, just because you didn't have the high school career you wanted, keep going. He told me that. And that kind of like, hey, boosted my confidence. Then went to college, I'm like, and you walk in the gym, it's like grown men, like dogs. Like, man, I was like, this ain't even the NBA. It's like, this is just JUCO, and these guys are dogs. And I'm like, this guy looks like a 5-star recruit. What the hell is he doing here, So, and it kind of like shies you away, but then time goes on, you put in those hours, you put in the work, you get better. Your coach tells you, hey, you got, I see you getting bigger. I see you getting stronger, then it kind of like builds you that confidence because you're putting in the work. And then, of course, going into UIC, I remember being scared as shoot, man. Because at UIC, I remember walking in the gym and I'm already seeing these guys tomahawking, windmilling 360. I'm like, what the, bro? Like, what the hell? What did I get myself into? But I'm like, hey, I put my foot in the doors. There's no turning back.
Yeah.
So I went up to the coach, hesitant. I was 20 at the time or something. And, I already talked to one of my coaches at Moraine. He tried contacting them, but they said, we don't need guards. I remember that email. He's like, we don't need guards at the moment. And I'm like, bull, hell no. Like, I put in too much hours to just let it go to waste. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to UIC for school no matter what. Might as well talk to the coach. I walked in that building. I remember like he just didn't give a crap. Like, come on, it's a Division I school. It's like he's just got out of practice. He don't give a crap. I went, hey coach, how you doing? I talked to them, shook his hand. I'm like, my name's Abdel Shtaya. I came from Moraine Valley. I want to play for you guys, coach. And in my perception, I could tell like he's looking at me like, who's this freaking idiot coming in my position? And I'm like, it's cool. I'm like, I just brushed it off. I'm like, I'm here. You might as well give it a go, So he talked to me. He's like, okay, let me, let's figure this all out. Contact the assistant coach and we'll see what we can do. And I kind of like kept, every week I would just like stop by the office and be like, hey, how you doing? I would meet like the front desk person, and I met the graduate assistant, and I got real cool with him. Like he's my boy to this day. I still try to keep in touch with him. And he knew like I wasn't playing around. Like I really wanted this.
Yeah, you were serious.
I was serious.
Yeah.
And he looked out. Like he's like, here, just give me your number. I'll keep you in touch. Give me your email. I'll keep you in touch. He's like, this is Division I. So it's, this is a real deal. We don't just bring any bum in this gym. So later that fall, I don't think they were gonna do a walk-on tryout. I don't know. Because I heard the year before that they didn't do it. So I kind of feel like I pushed them to do that tryout. And when that tryout came, the dude hits me up. He's like, hey, walk-on tryouts are coming up. Get your physical, get your butt in, shape, make sure you're good to go, and go from there. So I remember, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna go in there, chip on my shoulder. I'm gonna show these guys what's up, And there's like 40 something people, 50 people. I forgot how many people are there. So it's like, oh my gosh, bro, like hella people here, you know? How am I gonna prove in front of all these guys? But I'm doing my thing, and I remember just in the layup drills just going hard and dunking a few dunks, and like, you know, I could see like opening eyes and working on my pull-up jumper, showing them the pull-up jumper. They're like, hey, and I remember the head coach like, hey, good shot. I like that. I like that. You know, he's just telling me that. And then so I did my thing, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna call you guys if we want you guys. If not, we're thank you for coming by, you know, things like that. Like, get the hell out of here now. Like, you know, just so a couple weeks later, I got a call or email saying, yeah, we want you guys to come. I was like one of three. I don't know if you guys know my boy Nominee. Nominee was one of them. He was one of the guys that made it with me. And then they called me into the office. We had like an individual meeting with the assistant coach, the grad assistant. And at first they told
which assistant coach? Was it with D Brown?
No, D Brown wasn't there yet. D Brown came the following year.
Okay.
And I got to tell you a story about D. D's my guy. I got to tell you.
Crazy.
So I go in the office. They're like, all right, listen, we like how you play. We think you'll be a good part of the program. He's like, but we can't put you on the roster. So I'm like, man, I'm like feeling like kind of like pissed off a little bit because like I worked my butt off that summer, and I'm like, I told them straight up, I'm like, listen, like for the past I don't know how many years, I think I was like since 7th grade, I've been doing school and basketball, like these. So like that's what I do. I tell them like this is what I want to do. I'm like so this is like I want to do this. So he told me we can take you in, like they call it practice walk-on, they say. So I'm like, okay, I thought about it that weekend. I'm like, screw it, I'm gonna take it because you get to hoop still, you're still around the game, and I don't regret that. So I love the fact that I stuck with that. And then time went on. I remember it, and it was tough, man, because you get treated like like dirt, because like you're pretty much a practice player. You're pretty much a scrub. You gotta, sometimes we're just standing there watching them practice, but you're still learning the game. So it's just like day by day. And this is at UIC, so I'm focusing on passing my classes.
Yeah.
Because I know basketball isn't only the only thing I gotta worry about right now. I gotta worry about school and passing my classes. And I was in the kinesiology program. That stuff was not easy. I remember still, that was not easy. And trying to balance all that out. And
yeah. But I mean, at least you're around the game, and you, like you said, you got to see that level of competition. You got to pick some guys' brains and things like that.
Yeah.
But I want to hear this D Brown story, because you had an NBA player, former NBA player, former dunk contestant as your assistant coach.
Player, baby.
Former Illini player.
D Brown played in the dunk contest? No, he didn't.
Yeah, he was the one who had the dab dunk, I think.
No, that's the other D Brown.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
That's not the NBA.
No, D Brown played in the NBA. He played for the Utah Jazz, but that's like the older D Brown.
Bruh. Seriously?
Yeah, dude. You gotta Google it. It's pretty I got confused too, but there's a different D Brown. He played for like Boston Celtics.
Oh, yeah.
D would even say, like, D never, like, he would tell us, like, I don't dunk. He tells me that straight up. Like, hey, don't dunk. But all right, let me tell you about D. So D, the first day I met him, I'm in the gym shooting around. We're at the pavilion. We got practice coming up, so I was there a little early. And I already know the story about D, so I'm like, okay, I already know who D is. He walks in, I'm shooting. He's like, hey, how you doing, sir? He shakes my hand. He's like, my name is D. I'm from Chicago State. I'm a transfer. I'm like, man, get the hell out of here. He's trying to joke with me. He's trying to be one of the players. I'm like, man, I know who you are. Stop playing. So he's a down-to-earth guy, man. He's one of the realest out there, man. One of the coolest dudes, man. And he's still a bucket getter, man.
I was about to ask, could you ever play, you ever hoop with him?
Yeah, we were playing because we were doing the practice simulations and like working on you know, scouting and things like that. So we'd be the opposite team. It would be like me, D Brown, and like Nooney and my other guys um, that would practice against the actual team.
Mm.
So, and D, you know, don't play. He got the ball in his hand. He's ready to hoop.
Get out of his way, give him the ball, basically.
Bro, I'm telling you, I'm like, this guy got a nasty crossover, step back, pull up in your face against like 6'7" guys, 6'8" guys, no matter who's guarding him. And he's a great passer. That's one thing. He's a great pass. Like, he'd find me. Like, I'll send him a screen and roll, and he'll find that little pocket, just dish, like quick. And I'm like, how the hell did this get? And I just go. I'm like, you know, like you're confused, but he's very smart guy, fundamental, and
So
one of the coolest people. Man.
did you ever get your big break at UIC?
All right, so my first year there, so it was finals time during the December, you know, finals week. I remember I was actually I couldn't make it to practice once or at the games because I used to not really travel. We travel. I wouldn't travel with them as much. Probably a few times I traveled with them, but they called me up one day and they're like, "Hey, Ish, where are you?" And I'm like, "What's going on?" You know, I think I was at the convention actually when they had the
ICNA convention.
Yeah, the Mass ICNA convention, and
Wow.
and they're at a road game, and my phone is blowing up. I'm telling you, I get a text from the managers, the grad assistant, like, "Where you at, Ish? Where you at?" I'm like, "What's up?" He's like, "We need you at practice tomorrow morning," and I'm like, "Okay, what's up?" You know, I'm thinking it's just like any ordinary practice. You know, I'm just one of the practice players. I'm okay, cool. It's like, yeah, we might need you to suit up. We're gonna need you to suit up, like get ready. Like I'm like, you're freaking lying. Are you serious? So I'm getting, you know, my hopes up, I guess you could say. But then what happens? I'm ready to go. They got me in practice. I'm running with the actual squad and things like that. Turns out I have to go through NBA or NCAA clearinghouse. I don't know if you guys ever heard that. You have to get cleared.
No, what is that?
So it's like you got to go through a process. Like they have to like background check you. They got to check your ACT score. They got to do it. And I was like, what? I'm getting all that. I'm still working my butt off to get that in. And I'm still trying. And then they kept getting on me like, is it in? Is it in? And then they took a while to process it through. I even had to talk to my high school coach. I had to talk to my high school counselor. I talked to my junior college counselor. I called everybody because I'm trying to get on the roster.
Yeah.
And they're ready to put me in. They're like, we need you to suit up tonight like that. I'm like, all right, hold up. I'm trying to, you know. And then subhanAllah, you know, it's just, it didn't work out. I didn't get cleared till end of February. And by then that was like playoff time. And the guys who were injured, because they had a couple of injuries, the guys who were injured, you know, were back to playing. Yeah. So I didn't get my opportunity that year. And I was you know, pissed off. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? They gave me the call. They told me we need you to play with us. Like, the head coach, the guy who looked at me like, okay, this guy is bad, you know, he came up to me and walked me, shook, like grabbed me, like, we need you ready to go by tomorrow. And I'm like, all right. And it didn't work out, but alhamdulillah, you know. But I still stuck with the program. I still stuck with the practicing, you know, and I went from there.
So I guess the only logical question to ask now is the NBA still on your mind? And if not, when did that end?
Man, of course, who wouldn't want to play in the NBA, you know? But at the moment, I have to be realistic. You know, I'm 25 years old. Overseas can be a possible option, but the pandemic kind of messed that up. I actually had an overseas guy I was talking to last year, and he was working on getting me to like anywhere overseas. I was just telling him, you know, anywhere, you know, he's an agency. But then the pandemic hit, and I told him what's going on. He's like, yeah, a lot of teams are shutting down, plus the airport situations and things like that. So, but I think now they're starting to open back up. But of course, I still love the game. Would I still love to hoop still? Of course, but I got to start, making money. And I got engaged, so I got to figure out living arrangements.
Congrats, man. Mabruk.
I live back six. So I got a lot on my plate, but I still got the love for the game.
I kind of want to backtrack a little. We completely forgot to ask this, but who is kind of the player that you kind of modeled your game after, or that you just enjoyed watching in general?
Well, definitely. Well, of course, with Michael Jordan, younger, growing up, and then of course D Rose. I say D Rose is probably the number one, like, cause watching him live and seeing, and I just see how he just throws it back 2 hands and just
So vicious, bro.
MVP D Rose. Still to this day, I love D Rose. I actually met D Rose. I seen him at the UIC gym.
What?
I'm telling you, I was working out with D Brown. D we're just shooting around, and then I see a dude with dreads walking in. I'm like, okay, who's this dude? Takes off his hoodie. It's freaking D Rose just walking in. I'm like, oh hell no, that's D Rose, man. That's Windy City. That's Windy City Assassin. And then I just give him like one of these. I'm like, hey, what's up? I don't want to like run up to him and hug him because but in my heart, I'm like, damn, bro, I wish I could just, But he's really cool guy. Like he's chill dude. Like he gave me one of the nods, like, what's up, like that. And
man.
He's cool people, man.
I would have cried.
I was too shocked, but I had to keep my composure. I gotta stay classic, stay professional. But
were you like spying on him as he was practicing or getting shots up?
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, I'm shooting around and I'm like, is he looking at me shoot?
Well, when you were observing him, is there anything, like, since you see him up front, is there anything you noticed that you're just like, okay, yeah, I get it. He's in the NBA. I can see it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, he had this big old ball. I seen him even in like on TV. He has this big gray ball. He had that same ball with him. And I noticed when I'm looking at him, like the physique, dude, he looks like a football stud. Like he got broad shoulders, built, long wingspan. His hands go down, and he's like considered not even a big guy. And I'm like, in the NBA, and I'm like, dude, this guy is huge. Like he's a big dude. But I can see how like when they train, they don't go like stupid hard. They just work on the motion and just like fundamentals,
Yeah.
Like high school and college players where they like going hard, and this, like, as a pro, you just got to go through that fundamental and just stay crisp and stay mobile, things like that. But
man, I mean, you were mentioning earlier how you loved Derrick Rose's dunks, and you also said that you can throw it down as well. So did you poster people? And if so, was it a regular occurrence?
Man, I wasn't much of like a poster guy, but I did catch a few bodies. I did. But I'm not like because I would get up, but it would be hard to control it, like for me. But I did catch a few bodies. I remember in college, in practice, one of the teammates was kind of talking smack. So we're doing just drills, and he's going hard, and I'm like, okay. He blocked me once, and I'm like, all right, cool. And he's talking. He's like, get that out of here,
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, bet. And then I wait the next play. I hit him with a cross between the legs, and I take a hard dribble to the middle, and I bring it up one hand, and I just on him. The whole practice was like canceled. Like everybody, coach was on the other side working with big men. He's like, dude, everybody's just going nuts. And that was one of the best, yeah. But yeah, that was probably one of the best ones. And then I probably caught like, somebody's under the rim, catch a lob or something, like dunk that, but never like not like a LeBron body to body dunk. You know, I'm not much of like a dunker. I'm more of like, you know, I could dunk, but you know. I mean, if I get back to it, who knows? If I get back to it, I gotta get to that serious mode, that grind mode.
I remember at the tournament we held last year in Naperville, the one at the Masjid. I remember you dunked either like while you're shooting around or in the game, and like everyone was going crazy, and they were calling you Zach LaVine because like you were like this light skinned like killer, and you were just dunking on people. So everyone was like, "Oh, Zach LaVine, Zach LaVine, who is this guy?" Da, da, da. It was crazy.
Were you on which team were you on?
For which one?
The basketball
For the
tournament.
tournament. He was on the team that won, Jimmy.
You guys were the team that
the
won.
tournament at the Naperville tournament?
Yeah, he was the light blue team.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Hey. Okay.
Do you remember Jamil?
Listen, no, you don't ask him these stupid questions, Ibrahim.
Do you remember what he was doing at the tournament?
Nah.
He was one of the refs.
Oh shoot! Hey, yes. Jay.
Let's not delve. Let's not.
Hey, I apologize if my team shouted at you. It's just the heat of the game, you know.
Don't worry.
It comes with the territory. That comes with the territory of being a ref, man.
It's not easy. It is not easy, man.
Don't even worry about it. I can make, because I understand that too. Like you can make a bunch of good calls that day, but it only takes one missed call for everyone to turn. I don't blame him. I would have done the same thing. I'm not salty about it. So I mean, I wanted to ask you, how did your role change on your team from high school to college? Like, how does your play style have to change? What changes?
Okay, so high school, I remember being like one of the best players on the team, the top scorer, or just having the ball in my hand, doing what I want to do, things like that. Me and I remember just like feeling free in high school. Of course, the coaches would still yell at you and this and that, but if you're dropping 20 a game, they're not going to say much.
Yeah.
But college, you're starting to surround yourself with serious hoopers now, like dogs. Like now, okay, this group can get a bucket, this group can get a bucket. Everybody can score, and there's more talent. And you're like, all right, well, I can't just get the ball and just tell everybody get the hell out the way, like in high school. So you got to figure out. I had to figure out like what I got to do now to be a part of this team, because like there's super talent. There's guys who won state, guys who were Division I offers, but weren't getting their grades right, things like that. So I had to like focus on what do I got to do to prove the coach, because everybody can get 30 a game. Literally, I remember everybody was dropping, like somebody would score 30 one game, the other person scored 30, this dude dropped 40. So I'm like, okay, well, if everybody's scoring, what do I got to do? So that's where I started developing like the, doing like garbage work or taking charges and proving to the coach and playing hard defense. And then of course, getting buckets is part of the game. So you still have to do that. But, there's 5 guys on the court, 5-on-5. So you got to figure out what you got to do as a role player,
Yeah. So there are a couple players in the NBA who played JUCO. I know Jimmy Butler was one of them. Rashawn Holmes. I actually went to, I think, Moraine Valley.
Went to Moraine, yeah.
And I don't know if Dennis Rodman was also one of them as well. But some of the things that these players always talk about JUCO is that it's like probably one of the most competitive places they've played in, and they describe it as like a dog eat dog world. Is that really what it's like?
Oh my gosh, yes, dude. Like, so I've been in a JUCO setting and a Division I setting. JUCO setting is, if you're gonna get a bucket, you're gonna get that bucket. And if you're gonna get fouled, you're gonna get fouled. Like in practice, it was like our own teammates. Like we didn't like you're my team, but we're still like killing each other.
Yeah.
Practices was probably the hardest practice I've ever been in JUCO, because these guys are fighting for a starting position. Everybody, because the whole roster, anybody could be a starter. You know, I started this game, he started that game, this guy started, you know. So it's always like you gotta earn your spot. It's like it's dog eat dog. And I was watching that Last Chance U, and that reminded me, JUCO one, that reminded me of Moraine so much. Like everybody's just hungry. Like everybody wants a bone, things like that. And then going into Division I, everybody's kind of more, you know, they're still dogs, but majority of them were like lax. Like they're just, I'm here, I'm entitled. Like they felt entitled.
Yeah,
You know,
it's kind of like I made it mentality almost.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's what kind of when I went to UIC, I kind of had that chip on my shoulder because I'm like, man, practice was way harder at Moraine. I'm like, coaches would have us running the whole time and things like that. So they're kind of like, you know, they felt like, you know, JUCO, you have to earn this. You're not where you want to be. D1 players are like, all right, I'm where I want to be. And if I go to the NBA, cool. If not, you know, I play D1, things like that. So it's different for everybody, though. Like different teams, different mindsets, different atmospheres, things like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, to close off our college basketball discussion, what advice would you give to kids who want to make it to D1, who want to make it to D1 or beyond? You know, what's your advice to them?
Take that first step. Like, don't be hesitant, because it is scary. Like you get like hesitant, but even if you got fear, take that step, man. Like, you know, just, you know, in an Islamic standpoint, Allah, bismillah, just take it, man. Who cares? It's like, what do you have to lose? Okay, you get rejected by a D1 offer. All right, cool. You tried, you did your part. Take that step. I just say, like, get that step, because you never know what happens. I remember this one kid, Connor Glennon. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him. He's at Memphis. He wrote like however many letters to Division I school, 52, I think. I don't know. And he got his one break. Memphis is like, okay, come on. And he's playing at Memphis right now, D1.
Wow.
So if you really, really want it, take that step. Don't get scared. Just take it. Even if you're anxious, if you're like kind of like holding back, just do it, man. Who cares? What you got to lose? You know.
All right. So now we're gonna segue. There has been something me and Ibrahim have been arguing about. All right. It's a very simple question. All right. Dame or Steph?
Damn, man, I love Dame, dude. But as far as like talent, Steph is crazy. But me personally, I love Dame. Like I just, cause dude, Dame,
thank you.
Dame is just a dog. Like I always heard his story. I've heard Steph's story too. Not to bag on Steph, but Steph kind of, you know, he had the father, the NBA father, and things like that. So, but he, of course, he went to Davidson College. And fun fact, one of the graduate assistants at UIC was at Davidson College, and he met Steph and everything like that.
Oh, wow.
So that's a fun fact. So he told me about it, showed me a picture.
So if you were a GM, who are you picking?
If I was a GM, who am I picking?
Yeah.
And me personally, I would go with Dame.
Thank you.
Because, man, I just love guys who are like that dog, that mentality. Like, man, Dame don't give no Fs, and he just adds that, you know. Yes. But of course, Steph is Steph. You can't take away anything from Steph. But Dame is, sheesh, man. That guy. I think I put, because he loves D Rose, and I know Dame. He's just, man, dude. I got high respect for Dame. I'm actually thinking about getting my next shoes. I'm trying to get some Dames.
Man.
So can I ask then? Besides clutchness, because everyone knows Dame is probably the clutchest player in the league, right? What do you think Dame does better than Steph?
What does he do better?
Because like I understand, right? Everyone has their own reasons why they would pick each player. But for me, I don't have any like super personal attachment to each. So I always choose Steph. I was listening to a lot of analysts. They're choosing Steph. And the way I thought about it was this, right? I think Steph is a better shooter, dribbler, and playmaker. Dame is probably a better defender, but I don't think any of them are exceptional defenders
Yeah,
anyway.
both of them are not.
But Dame does have the edge on clutchness, which is why, overall, I always end up picking Steph.
Another
But
thing too, though, Jamil, is this really doesn't have anything to do with this actual basketball. But if you want to talk about the intangibles too, like Dame Dolla is known to be that leader. He's known to get his guys together.
That's why.
Steph really isn't that vocal guy. It was more Draymond up until like recently, right?
until
Steph
this
is
year.
now, yeah, exactly. But Dame's known, like I know he takes his guys on like trips in the summer to do like team bonding and stuff like that. That's also a big thing too. You need to consider is if you're a GM and you're picking one or the other, you're gonna want a guy that's gonna want to mesh with the team no matter what. Dame's the ride or die type of guy. At the same time, though, like I think I was talking to Amin about this, and he was saying there's no wrong answer, honestly. Like at the end of the day, you can't go wrong with either of them.
Right.
Like it turns into a
They're
personal
still
thing.
studs. They're still killers,
Yeah,
man.
exactly. It turns into a personal thing. But Steph's a better shooter. I mean, he's got that
Yeah.
sniper, bro.
Yeah.
Better playmaker, better passer. But like Ish was saying, Dame is just that dog. When I think of Dame, I think of cold-blooded killer, like just sending teams home type,
Mm-hmm.
So
So while we're on the topic of scoring, then I saw a crazy hot take on TikTok the other day from someone else's podcast. He goes, you know what's interesting? Bradley Beal is people are calling him an MVP candidate because he's the highest scorer in the league. He goes, this is the first time I think in maybe NBA history where the guy who's leading the scoring who's leading the league in scoring isn't even a top 10 player. Now I thought that was an interesting take. And I sat there and I thought, how can you say Bradley Beal isn't a top 10 player? And then he listed 10 players that he thought were better than him. So my question to you guys is, do you guys think that Bradley Beal is in that top 10 list that includes LeBron, Kawhi, Jokic, Durant, Davis, Lillard, Curry, Luka, James Harden, Embiid? I don't think so.
I don't
I don't think so, man. Nah, not Beal. I mean, respects to Beal, of course. He's still a dog, but maybe like John Wall leaving kind of gave him more leeway, you could say, because John Wall, he needed that ball in his hands. So with Beal, I think Westbrook's kind of like, hey, do your thing, bro. Like, do your thing, So I feel like with that situation, but come playoff time, then we talk. It's like you gotta like, because that's where it really matters. You can do anything you want in season, but come playoff time, like, all right, let's see who the real deal is.
So what is it about a player that makes him so valuable? Because I know Paul George, at least for most of the season, I think he was leading his team in scoring. But everyone is still putting Kawhi over him. People were arguing, because Paul George scores more, he's more valuable. What is it about a player that makes them the most valuable in the league, I guess?
I don't know. I guess you could say like what they bring to the table, because at the end of the day, basketball, everybody got to do their part. Kawhi's all around. PG's a deadly scorer. Pat Beverly, lockdown defender. So it's kind of like everybody eats type of thing. Like everybody got to do their part. But of course, I do agree that Kawhi is more effective than Paul George. Because let's say you take out Paul George, I still think Kawhi is still doing Kawhi things and things like that. Like you could always get a score, but you can't get a freaking Kawhi Leonard with clamps and the claw and scoring, dunking, and just all around. Like I sometimes when I see him, I'm like, man, that's like some Jordan-esque things. Like he got that Jordan in him, like big hands and fade away, dunking, things like that.
Makes sense. Also in NBA news, some whispers that were going around, some hot takes that go around, they spread like wildfire, right? One of them was that Chris Paul should be an MVP nominee. I think Shaq said that. I think someone on the inside the NBA said that, and everyone called him crazy. Do you think he deserves an MVP nod?
Man, Chris Paul's a dog. I gotta say that. What he's doing with the Suns, like they weren't nowhere near the playoffs last year, right? Like nowhere near, like low.
They made it to the
They didn't
bubble,
lose a
won
game.
8 straight. They didn't lose in the bubble, and they still lost. Didn't make it to the playoffs.
Mm.
Yeah.
And now what? They're number 2 seed.
Number 2.
Yeah, that's MVP now. I do agree. Like he's in that race because what he's doing with that team, and he's just a leader. He's he's a, what does Stephen A say? He's a pit bull. Like nobody ain't nobody getting to him. So I agree. And he's getting older, but he's still doing his thing. And I think he deserves that credit.
I also do think he deserves that MVP nod, but I don't think he's gonna win because at the end of the day, it's such a popularity contest. Like I think we can all agree he's not gonna win. Like it's gonna be the big names. They're not gonna about to give it to a 40-year-old CP3.
Yeah.
Also, how much should stats matter in MVP? Because in the past few years, people who won MVP have been stat monsters. But then you look at people saying Chris Paul's MVP, and he's only averaging 16 points a game and 8 assists, right? And then you look at Steve Nash, who averaged under 20 points a game. I don't think he ever averaged a single time in his whole career over 20 points a game. What do you – should stats have any impact on MVP?
Well, stats do play a role, of course, because numbers don't lie. But also effectiveness. Like, what are you doing with that stats? Like, are you just like getting those numbers with a garbage team? Like, what kind of role are you in? So, stats do play a role, but at the same time, what's your effectiveness, your efficiency, and things like that. That's huge. So,
did Steve Nash deserve 2 MVPs? Having never ever made it to an NBA championship.
Man, because that's tough. Because Steve Nash, I don't want to take credit away from him because he's a beast. You've seen this little white guy scoring on these guys and making playmaking. But then you got guys like Kobe at that time, Vince Carter, Allen Iverson, and Tracy McGrady. And I'm like, Steve Nash got it. And I'm like, damn, okay. I'm not trying to hate on him, but I love Steve Nash. He's a dog. He's a very fundamental guy. So do I think? I wouldn't say but I honestly, I didn't really watch that season. I didn't really keep it. I always knew who Steve Nash was, but I wasn't watching exactly. So I can't really say much on that.
Fair enough. The next person that has been in NBA whispers is James Harden, as being everyone for some reason as of today is saying James Harden is the front runner for the MVP because Embiid is injured. What do you guys think about that?
James Harden?
Yeah. I think Stephen A. Smith said this as well. I think this was his take, that he has James Harden as the NBA frontrunner. It's all over Instagram, and I'm a little confused how you can just jump to the top like that. But do you think he's the frontrunner? And if not, who do you think is the frontrunner? Nets are a half game behind first place.
That's tough. That's a tough one.
The thing is with James Harden is people think that he's like when he was playing in Houston, everyone's like, oh, he gets 50 balls, he drops a lot of points, this and that. Like that overshadowed how great of a passer he was, right? So when he came to Brooklyn, everyone's like, it's not going to work. They all need the ball. You look at him now, isn't he averaging double-digit assists right now? Isn't he putting up crazy numbers in assists? Yeah, and I don't know if this was fabricated or not, but I remember there was a quote saying that Kyrie was telling James you're the point, you run the point, I'll play in the 2. So it makes sense, but it's just so weird for me to visualize James Harden winning MVP
And I don't think they've lost since he said that or something crazy, some crazy stat. He's averaging career high in assists right now, 11.2, tied for his career high. And this is what
a lot of people predicted. A lot of people predicted that he would put up insane assist numbers and he would beat the record for the season.
And he has 9 rebounds, career high in rebounds, career high in assists, 25 points a game, still not too shabby.
That's crazy.
Nice.
I think those are MVP stats. I think in a week,
Yeah.
they're going to be probably number one in a week. I think
But
those are MVP
also,
stats.
like Ish was saying too, like come playoff time, it's a whole different ball game, man. Whole different animal. Like the real dogs come up. You don't have guys like freaking TJ Warren like playing the same way he plays, playoffs. Like
TJ Warren, man, that whole bubble, I hated it. I hated
Yeah.
it.
it was fun to watch, but I mean it was obvious that the guys who don't really play the same way in the playoffs are playing, like out of their minds. So
Yeah.
that was a big thing. Because like the fans really do like have an impact on you. Like playing in front of thousands of people has a major, major
Oh,
impact.
definitely.
Last thing last NBA news I wanted to ask about was Ben Simmons, because there was a commentator during the game, in the middle of a game while he's commentating. He goes, "I think Ben Simmons is ridiculously overrated." He was saying that like people focusing so much on Ben Simmons is taking away from the work that Tobias Harris is doing. Do you think Ben Simmons is overrated? Because one of the hot takes was in the beginning of the season that LaMelo Ball had improved more in 10 games than Ben Simmons had his whole career. Has Ben Simmons improved that much? And do you think he's overrated?
I don't think so, actually. I mean, he didn't make the All-Star team, so I think he's right where he's at. Joel Embiid is the main guy. I think.
Well, he did make it. He just couldn't go the day of because of his barber. Him and Joel Embiid's barber
Oh
had
yeah,
COVID,
that's true.
so they couldn't play the game.
Well, Ben Simmons made the All-Star team?
Yeah,
Yes.
him and Joel Embiid made
Oh.
it, but their personal barber caught COVID or had a tracing
Oh,
to COVID.
wow. Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not too sure. I mean, I remember him coming in high school, he was a dog, college, of course, and then coming in. Once he improves that shot, man, this guy will be like deadly. But as of now, I wouldn't say he's like super overrated, but he still
I would
has.
agree.
He's still young, dude. He's like still really young.
yeah.
Got a lot to offer. So
I mean, I personally would agree that he's overrated. I think he's good. I think he's solid. He's a really good player on that team. But even if we're looking at his stats, rookie year, 15.8 points a game. Right now, 16.1. That's 0.3 increase. Assists per game have gone down. He's a point guard from 8.2 to 7.6. Rebounds have gone down 6.3 to 6.2. He's stayed relatively the same, if not declined a bit
I mean, we
since
said
his
this
rookie year.
before, and we'll say it again. You know why he's on a decline, right?
Why?
The Jenner curse, the Kardashian curse, bro. It's a real thing.
well, he dated one of the Jenners or something.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
dated the Jenner for a while. That's
Oh.
that's where the whole Devin Booker and Ben Simmons beef was because of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because Devin Booker's with her now, but it's stupid.
Damn.
Okay. So now we're going to do a snake draft.
Wait, I wanted to ask this question though
Okay,
before
go
we do
ahead.
the draft. The quick hitters, last like quick hitter question. You have a normal dunk contest with Vince Carter, Zach LaVine, and Dominique Wilkins. Who are you taking?
Vince.
DC?
Yeah, I take Vince. Even I love Zach LaVine, man. He's a beast, and Dominique was just ferocious.
Yeah.
But I think Vince Carter was still the greatest dunker of all time. The way dude, the way he dunks is like us dunking on the little baby rims. Just do whatever you want. That's how it is for him. And he holds that ball like it's a string or like, it's stuck to his hand. And when it's time to let go of that dunk.
I don't know if you guys know this, but what's crazy is so he was talking about that time when he won, and he was saying how he was in the layup line, practicing his dunks, and then he saw like all the celebrities and all the athletes like sitting courtside, and he's like, all right, he just like completely like forgot his routine. Not forgot as in he didn't remember it, but like he just threw it out the window, and he's like, I'm just gonna do it based off of like instinct. I'm just gonna make up my dunks. So every dunk he did that day was all made up. Like he didn't practice it.
The
Or
dunk
like,
on?
yeah.
Wow.
It's
I mean, if we're going off in-game dunks, I pick Vince Carter because he has arguably the best dunk in basketball history when he was on the USA team 2004 or 2008 when he
Oh,
cleared that guy.
yes.
Fully
Yeah.
cleared him like a 7-footer in the middle of a game.
Yeah.
But if we're picking a dunk contest, hear me out. I'm gonna pick Zach LaVine only because when you look at dunkers nowadays, they are so advanced in their dunks that they're doing previous people's dunks like it's nothing. Right?
Hmm.
Like the game, the art of the dunk has improved so much, it's almost hit a plateau because now the most athletic players in the league are hitting these game-winning, contest-winning dunks from the past, like Vince Carter's Honey Dipper, like it's nothing. And they're adding more to his dunks like it's nothing. And I was also saying this earlier. I think players are getting more talented than ever before in terms of like the cool things that they can do in the game.
most definitely. You're getting more
So if we're
athletic.
picking a dunk contest, I'd pick Zach LaVine. If we're talking in-game dunks, I pick Vince Carter.
Okay.
Not a bad choice. Not a bad choice. Didn't Dominique win 2? Didn't he win back-to-back?
Let me see. Dominique.
While we get ready for this draft.
Let me see. I think it says he won
What is it? He won
1984.
Huh?
He participated in 5.
He just won 1 then.
Did he beat
No,
MJ?
1985 and 1990.
So he did win 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
95 now.
Okay.
So now we're going to do a snake draft of the best dunkers of all time. You know how the snake draft works, right?
This is like how the fantasy, I know the fantasy football, right?
Yeah, it goes 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. So like you get 2 picks at the end and 2 picks at the beginning for whoever those are.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I think Ish is first then, right? Ibrahim, are you writing this down?
Yeah, Ish will go first. I'm typing this,
Okay. All right. So is it like a list or I just say whoever?
I mean, if you want to say it off recollection, you
it's
can.
like a draft. So
If
you
want
have your
to,
first
I can give you
pick.
a list to help you out, but it's honestly whatever you think.
All right, cool. Well, of course, number 1, I'm going with Vince Carter.
Okay, VC.
VC.
If you didn't go first in the first round, I was gonna cook you guys.
I'm taking Michael Jordan.
Okay. Nice. MJ.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna take Dominique, and I am taking for my second pick. I'm gonna take Zach LaVine.
I'm taking Blake Griffin.
Okay.
Ooh, I low-key forgot he used to do that like on the regular.
He hasn't dunked in like 2 years, I think.
Yeah, well, he changed his game a lot.
Yeah.
Shoot.
You get 2 picks now.
Okay. It's tough. Let's see. Man, you know what? I'm gonna go with I forgot his name. It was Green. Jalen Green, right? Or
Oh, you're talking about Gerald Green. You're talking about Gerald Green.
Yeah.
Gerald Green was
Yeah, some crazy.
That was the one where he blew out the candle, right? In the cupcake.
Yeah. He got.
He was a nasty in-game dunker.
He played for Houston for a little bit, right? Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going with Gerald Green, and then who else? Gerald Green. What about what about Clyde Drexler? I'm just gonna go old.
Clyde the Glide.
Clyde the Glide.
Drexler, man.
Nice. Go ahead, Jamin.
Okay, a guy people probably forgot about is Dr. J.
Julius. Oh yes, yeah.
Dr.
J.
All right, I'm going with Kryptonite, Nate Robinson.
All right.
He won. I think he won 2 as well. And then I'm gonna go with Larry Nance, not Junior, the father.
The father. Okay.
Ooh, yeah, that was good. Let me see. I'm gonna take I'm trying to go either between Jason Richardson or DeAndre Jordan. You know what? I don't care.
Ooh.
I'm gonna take DeAndre Jordan only because I think he has the best NBA dunk in NBA history.
When he killed Brandon Knight.
Dude, just like almost sent him into the hospital.
Bro, Brandon Knight has been in so many posters. I'm in so many highlights. Like, hold on, like his career is. No one wanted to pick him up, bro.
How many game-winning layups did this guy miss?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ish. You're gonna close it out with your two.
Man, you know what? I gotta go with LeBron.
Yeah,
That's a solid one.
I like LeBron James.
One of the best in-game dunkers ever.
Yeah, man, he should have been in at least one dunk contest.
He should have, especially when he was young, dude. He was doing crazy dunks in high school.
Oh, he was in the All-American, McDonald's All-American dunk.
He was in the dunk contest.
Yeah, that was. And then I got one more.
Yeah.
Yep.
I gotta go with Kobe.
Oh.
Kobe, he won a dunk contest. Right?
Kobe Bean.
Number 8, Kobe. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta go with Kobe.
Okay, I'm gonna go with someone you guys might not be expecting. Taking young J.R. Smith.
I was thinking of JR.
He had bunnies, man.
I was thinking of JR.
Dude, he had the craziest dunks, man. Like reverses, like it was nothing.
Remember the one in Denver where he dunked on the guy from the Spurs, where he's like, "We just saw a man take flight," or what's his name? Mike Green.
I think so. I probably see
Where he held down the rim with two hands. Was
it that
one? Yeah. JR. I was actually thinking about JR.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go with. Oh man. Oh, Aaron Gordon.
Oh yeah. Wow.
My man got snubbed 2 years in a row.
Yeah. I'm surprised you guys didn't pick Jason Richardson.
Yeah, Jay Rich.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's read out the teams, Ibrahim.
Ish's team, which is honestly pretty solid. Like VC, Gerald Green, Clyde the Glide, LeBron, and Kobe. You got like all.
If we're talking team
dunkers,
teams, you got the best one.
Yeah. Jameer, you got MJ, Blake Griffin, Dr. J, DeAndre Jordan, and J.R. Smith. Nice. I got Dominique, Zach LaVine, Nate Robinson, Larry Nance, and Aaron Gordon.
Nice.
Amazing.
Crazy.
All right.
That'd be great.
Everyone listening, if you've made it this far, let us know down in the comment section below who has the best dunk team. Ish, thank you for being on. Is there anything you want to let the people know before we send you off?
You know what? Just keep on going in life, man. I'm gonna say MJ quote: "Never say never, because limits like fear are often just an illusion."
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Beautiful quote. Thank you, Ish. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Climate Podcast. Peace. Good night.